Hey there, folks. It's Gavin here, and I'm here today with one of our students, Leo Blum. Leo's in New York. He joined us as an experienced salesperson. He was already in the loan broking field, but it's suffice to say he's been on a journey with us of discovery and of learning. And really, what we want to do here is not focus on, you know, funding deals and the thousands of dollars you can make in commission. That's all the stuff that, you know, is definitely feasible and possible. But what we want to do here is draw back the curtains and actually talk about the journey that most of us have to go on, because it's not as clean cut and as simple as perhaps a lot of gurus out there make it seem. You know, you can fund deals in a matter of weeks. That can definitely happen, but the trick to this is consistency. You know, otherwise, if you can't fund consistently every month, then you have no foundation to build and you don't have a business. And, you know, if you're like a lot of folk, you're like me, you're like Leo, you know, we take this profession seriously. We want this to be something that gives us a platform for better things in life. Then there's no point playing at it. You have to really commit and focus on that. And so what we want to do in this conversation is really just focus on Leo's journey, what he's gone through, his breakthroughs, and really hopefully give you folks some understanding of what it really takes to get success at this. Because I think if you've seen a number of our videos now, you're getting the understanding that it is not as simple as making some phone calls or, you know, sending out some emails and all of a sudden you've got these miraculous deals in place and we can go get them funded and make a bunch of commission. Whilst theoretically that's what it is, there's way more that goes into it. So Leo, welcome to the call. I just wondered if you could kind of give the folks a little bit of just a background really of what you were doing before you joined the call, some of the challenges that before you joined the program, and some of the challenges that you were going through.
No problem. Good morning, Gavin. Thank you for having me this morning.
Pleasure.
First of all, I want to start from the beginning. I was born and raised in France, and that's why I connected very well with Gavin, because he's in England. I guess the European connection is there. Basically, for the past 20 years, I've been doing sales and consulting in the technology industry. Started in the office equipment industry for many, many years. And that industry became it was much harder to make money. So we tried to become IT consulting, an IT consulting company, selling cybersecurity and so on and so forth. Within my last 2 years in that industry, a friend of mine came up to me and asked me if I wanted to get involved into the loan business. And I said, I want to hear. I'm always open for new ideas. So he explained to me that how it works to do, real estate loans and business loans. And I said, you know what? I have no problem. Let me try it out. So while I had my job, I was still at night doing some, networking before COVID. So I was able doing face-to-face networking, going to networking events. And to my surprise, when I was talking to business owners or real estate investors about them with, most of the people, 99.9%, wanted to actually talk to me. So after a couple of experience in networking, I'm like, there's a light bulb that came into my head. I'm like, it's really exciting for a salesperson or consultant to have a client to actually embrace your service and wanting to hang out with you and to learn more about your services. And I'm like, that's maybe something I want to do down the line for, pretty much long term. So I kept on learning more about it on my own, meeting people, learning how to, explain loans, different kind of loans, different programs. And then eventually COVID came around. The company I used to work for, closed down for COVID. And while I was sitting at home, I'm like, I don't want to sit around and do nothing. Within a day, I decided I'm going to put up my own website and my own LLC, because I do want to do loan brokering on my own. So I opened up my website. It took me 3 weeks, my LLC. While I was doing that, I was trying to find ways how to open up a new account. And luckily, I was searching, and then I think on YouTube, saw one of Gavin's, videos, and I watched your, promotion videos, And I think got in, I mean, I think I got in touch with you, and we had our first phone call, which I still remember today. And you explained to me what the program is all about, and I really like it because I come from 20 years experience in sales, where everything was cold calling, knocking on doors, and and networking face to face, which all three of them do not work almost anymore. A cold call would work if it's a warm call, if somebody spoke to you on the Facebook, or somebody spoke to you on LinkedIn, if somebody got an email from you and said, you know what, I want to find out more about your programs, then you can call the person and you'll embrace the conversation. So I spoke to Gavin, and I like the idea of the training that they put together, because the bottom line is I had a website, I have a company of my own, but how do I actually interact with a potential client? And especially since whatever I've learned 20 years ago does not work today. And so I signed up for the program, and I really, really liked what they taught me. It's a new way of approaching clients using social media, so using mass emails. There's software that can actually help you do that, so you don't have to take one email and the second email and the third email that you would be spending 12 hours sending 100 emails. Same idea of picking up the phone and calling people. And eventually, once I got comfortable with the concept, which took me only a week because I was dedicated, I was like spending 8 hours a day. When I finished with basic training with Gavin, I started basically sending my email, I started doing what I was supposed to do on social media, and within a week, I started getting people to get back to me. I want to learn more about your program. The way ION works, basically, as an affiliate, they'll actually give you they call it an account executive, a director, if you want to call it, who has knowledge in the business, who has knowledge the way ION works. And basically, they're there to be able to guide you and help you. So whenever I had a phone call with a potential client, in the first couple of weeks, I was not very comfortable with a couple of the questions. So my director, I call him David Lewis, was able to be there on every call, and that's what he does. That's what he gets paid for. That's what if I end up actually closing a loan for somebody, he'll make also a commission. So he's going to benefit as well. And so far, I've been with ION 3.5 months. Pretty much every single day since I started with ION, I've been sitting from 8:30 a.m. Even though I don't have any manager, I'm working from home due to COVID. Starting 8:30 in the morning and work till 5 p.m. And then sometime I go back at night. And what I do every day, I do the mass email. There's like a program they teach you how to get emails from certain places. Send out 100 emails. And send out a second email, 30 emails template to people. So a lot of time people will never respond to a first email, but by the third one, they'll actually, you know what, this guy sounds like he's really serious about his services. Let me get back to him. That's number one. Also LinkedIn. I've got close to 2,500 LinkedIn contact, which are mainly and only real estate related people. It can be a lawyer, it can be investors, it can be an agent. And with those 2,500 people, which are growing every single day, I'm able to send messages, and there's templates that ION puts together, which will allow me to get good response from people that are interested in it, or even people that are not interested today. They will let me know. I'm an investor. I do not have any deal right now, and but potentially I would love to get in touch with you. So basically, what I try to do at this point, just get more information from the potential client, which is an email address, so I can be in touch with them, or even schedule small, phone calls, so I can introduce myself and explain to him why should he reach out to me as soon as he's thinking or he's working on the deal, instead of kind of going shopping around in the net.
Can I just can I come in there, because actually it's perfect before the next bit I think you're going to talk about. When you joined, you had a lot of experience in sales, but to your point, a lot of it at that time has sort of become a little bit outdated, right? So you knew how to cold call, you knew how to sell and position and all those good things, but the techniques that you had trained in were perhaps not as efficient in today's world, right? So
Correct.
you came in and you applied yourself, and you started to get activity pretty quickly, but it wasn't the thing that kind of unlocked the door for you, was it? Because despite the activity, it still wasn't coming together for you. So can you explain to the folk watching what that breakthrough was? Because we spoke about this the other day, and it's so simple what you're now doing that's kind of giving you good quality deal flow, good quality conversations with real people, as opposed to before it was just kind of, there was a lot of activity, but when we kind of scratched past the surface, there wasn't really much there at all.
Hmm.
What was that breakthrough for you?
Um, the breakthrough was basically learning how to qualify. This is, I think, is very crucial to this industry, is qualify somebody, because everyone out there has a dream to buy a building, to build a shopping mall, to buy a house and flip it. And the bottom line is there is ways that ION taught me how to qualify a client. It's not very hard. It's like two, three questions. If the person tells you, no, I don't have that, I don't have this, and that, at this point, you know what? Politely and in a professional way, you just tell them, really sorry. I would love to keep on talking to you. I can talk to you after hours regarding, sports and other things. But at this point, between 8:30 a.m. and 5 p.m., I really will not be able to get you any funding. So why should I waste your time and my time? Once you're able to get together X, Y, Z, then we can actually have a conversation together. That's I'm trying to be very straightforward with people. I learned that from ION and from the training how to qualify people. Number one. And I think the second thing that I'm doing, I'm very consistent every single day. At this point, I gave numbers of how many contact that I have on LinkedIn on the real estate side, but at the same point, I have 4,500 email addresses that I gathered for the past 3 months. It's not fun to be sitting around and gather email addresses, but if within 3 months you have 5,000 people, you can actually send information. And the best thing is that training works because people actually respond to my. I mean, out of 100 email, you're not going to get 100 people getting back to you, but you will get a good, 5 to 10%. That's great. Imagine at the end of the week, if you send 100 emails per day, because don't forget, once I send the first set of templates, there is a second template going and a third one. So even if the person didn't get back to you on the first one, they'll get back to you on the third template of email that you send to them. And as I told Gavin many times, I've had more business conversation with that new way of approaching, potential client that I used to have in the last 3 years in my other industry where I used to keep on, call calling and setting up meetings and so on and so forth. So I was open to pivot, to change the way I was doing things. I don't mind. I enjoy actually changing the way I do things. And the best thing that it does work. So I'm busy every single day between doing the emails. And then at this point, I get people that get back to me. I have people that on my CRM, I'm supposed to get back because they tell me, call me back before, New Year's because I'm working on a deal. And my reminder tasks, things that I have to do is every single day I got to get back to between 5 to 10 people besides the other people that I'm scheduling phone calls. So it's busy. It's you're not going to see results overnight, and Gavin put that into my head more than once. It's not you're going to get you're going to start the training and all of a sudden you're going to send out to 100 emails and then you're going to have one guy saying hey, Peter, I'm looking for $10 million. And, that's the thing. It's not going to happen. And even if it's going to happen a lot of times, and Ryan, which is one of the owners also of ION, mentions numbers. Don't get too excited. When somebody gets back to you, I'm looking for $10 million. Don't start thinking, what kind of car I'm going to get, and I should buy my second house,
Yeah.
and I should start go shopping for, high-end clothing, or I should go to London, having, go hang out with Gavin a little bit. So a lot of time people talk money, numbers don't mean much until you can actually get somebody approved. So you'd rather talk to somebody that is asking for $500,000 and you're able to get it for him versus talking to somebody who's asking you for 10, 20 million, $100 million. And there's no way he's going to be able to get even a dollar to get approved for.
Absolutely. If I could just come in here, because I want to just summarize what Leo just said there with a few key points. And it's funny, actually, we had that coaching call on Monday, didn't we, where the two of the guys spoke about it, and you're saying exactly the same things that they said. And now these guys have gone on, they joined in March, they've gone through the program, and one of them's already got 25K confirmed for this month. They've been consistent, I'd say, since about August of this year. But it didn't happen for them in like the first 3 months. It didn't come together, and that's the kind of point. We have all these people that are looking for quick results, that they, you know, they've seen all these other different videos, and there's a misunderstanding about what it's really all about. Because if it was that easy, you know, we could all do this, we'd all be multiple millionaires, you know, be great. But it's not that way, you know, and I think success in life happens in the same way. There's always a minority that ultimately make it, and the rest of them just fail and fall away or quit. And the reason is that people have an underappreciation, I think, of the real commitment you need to make to making it work. And there's no, loan brokering is no different to anything else. So Leo came in as a very experienced salesperson, but had to adjust his approach to suit a new way of doing things, and then the results started to come in. So everybody's competing with themselves, not other people. But to the point with Leo, the reason he's getting these results now, and the reason anyone gets the results, is that it isn't about chasing the outcomes. It's not about, like Leo said, getting these deals in, you know, starting to spend commission before it's even happened, and getting excited about that stuff. It's actually just about consistency of doing the work, mastering the work, and keeping that simple, and then making sure that you're relentless with that action. And I think Leo will explain as well, a lot of what we teach in the early days, and I said this on the coaching call, it isn't the most sexy of work. You know, we all join this sort of with a vision of what we want in the future, right? We want the business, we want the freedom, we want all the money and all the glam and the stuff that gets us. But what people don't appreciate is that what you've got to do to get that thing started is not that enjoyable. Let's be honest. You know, email mining, doing those things, it's not the most exciting of work, but it's vital for the foundation you need to build. And that's when things start to kick into play. And to Leo's point, now he's having very good conversations. Now he's having people come back to him saying, hey, you know, we need to speak. We spoke before. Or he's saying, call me back at this point because I've got a deal going on. That's where he will start to win relationships, real good, solid client relationships with real people that are making money at this as investors or business owners. Doesn't really matter. That's where it really comes into play. So you're never going to see a successful loan broker who hasn't played the long game, who hasn't been prepared to do the work, the hard work, and actually put up with the tough times, because it can be tough, right, Leo? It's not plain sailing when you start out, right?
Yeah, we've had conversation together. I mean, I'm in touch with Gavin, you know, every once a month. And you know, after 2 months being with ION, I was under the assumption that, you know, I'm going to get my first you know, $30,000 commission check, and I was doing a lot of work, but you know, it's not about the outcome, but what you have to do in order to get the outcome eventually. So I had to tweak a couple things the way I was doing things, qualifying clients. It's not about how many applications that I have. If I have 20 applications, it looks good, but I don't get paid for to put applications. And if out of those applications, I've got 20 out of 20 that cannot get approved, what did I do? So then I have to look in the mirror. I said, what am I doing? What can I change? And that's why I had a conversation 2 months ago with a month ago with Gavin, and he explained to me that we had to change a qualification. There's nothing to tell somebody, you know what, you have a great idea, you want $20 million, but you can get qualified. So let's not waste time. When you come back with those, you know, qualification, then actually we can talk with each other. And you just have to go through the good people, not that they are bad people, but the people that you can actually do business with, and the people that you cannot do business with, whether they don't have any experiences of yet or other reasons. And you just say, you know what, let me get back to you in 6 months, or get back to me whenever you feel like that you are ready. This is what we need in order for you to get you approved.
And actually, just on this note, the reason that tweak worked for Leo is because, first and foremost, he did the work. You know, you cannot expect any outcome at all if you're not prepared to do the work, right? So Leo was doing the work. He understood the steps he needed to follow to get the activity. So when we had that conversation and we said, oh, you know, just qualify differently, and we'll summarize that conversation, but that was kind of what we said. It wasn't a big thing that he had to adjust to finally, you know, for things to fall into place. If he wasn't doing the work, that would have been a huge challenge, because without having that experience of, you know, getting deals in, but then being trash, and having the understanding of what trash is, then he could not have made the tweaks to improve his qualifying to then get the good stuff coming in. So often, this is why we kind of break the training down in it. Like, you have to do the work first. And that creates outcomes. And then we can be accurate in understanding, well, what are the outcomes that we're getting from the work that's being done? And from there, we can accurately adjust what needs to be adjusted to get the actual results we want. And so that's the other thing I'm saying this, I've never said this, but it's a testament to where he's at right now and the success he's ultimately going to get, because he doesn't get emotional. And that's the other thing we say to people. You know, if things are not going your way, I think it's a default human response, isn't it? We get emotional about it because what we want to happen in reality hasn't happened. And so the first thing we do is we get stressed and we start getting angry, and we look for things or people to blame, when actually it's often just what we're doing, and it's actually often just a little tweak that's required. So with that accuracy of understanding, we say, okay, let's look at what we've done. What are the outcomes? What is it we need to change? And rationally just approaching that change, the outcomes happen. And Leo's experiencing that right now. And although we haven't got to the point of funding, we are at this point right now where the deal flow is good quality. We've got real clients. Okay. And it doesn't mean we're going to fund 100% of this stuff, but that's the key thing that needs to be in place to have very high conversion ratios. And all Leo is really doing is just being himself. He's telling the truth. And one more point, actually, if I can, Leo, one of the other things a lot of new brokers get wrong, and we talk about this so much, is they have this sort of customer service head on, that we're here to serve the client. We're here to make them happy. And we've got to build rapport and a relationship. And whilst that is important in the long term, in the short term, the first few contact points, the first call you have, whatever you do, that isn't important at all. In fact, it's not what you should be doing at all, because it's about you and whether they are worth your time. And that then affects the way you qualify. And then I think Leo can step in here, because the way he qualifies now is nothing like he was doing before. He'll just say it as it is. And as he said, there's 3 key questions. And if they're not ticking the boxes, you've got to be like ruthless, really, right, Leo, with the way you cut.
Polite. You got to be polite, but you got to tell them, you know what? I would love to keep on talking to you, but talk business. Talk about business. I will not be able to help you. And your ideas are fine, and you have great dreams, and you have great goals in life. But the bottom line, if you don't have what it needs in order to get there, I cannot help you. I cannot get you 100% financing, because no lenders in the world will give you 100% financing, because they want you to have some involvement, because they realize that, make sure that you're going to have some of your own money in the investment. Right? Basically, the lender will realize that you really care. And if you put $20,000 of your own money, you borrow from your brother, your friend, and you have to pay that back, if you knew for a fact that it was not a good deal, that's what the lender, is just an example. So as you mentioned, Gavin, the first thing is, you have to be polite, you have to care, you have to take interest about what the client is doing, because I like to learn how people, became successful, and how they got involved in the real estate investment or the business, and like how to open up a restaurant, how to open up a business. But if they can qualify at this point, you just give them some information what they need to have next time we have a conversation, whether it's in 6 months, 8 months. And if in the meantime you're able to come up with those 3 things, then come get back to me.
Yeah, exactly that. And Leo will be doing this, but if you think about this, if you keep chipping away at this over a period of 12 months, and it's not that it's going to take Leo 12 months to start making money, it will happen well before that, but you've got to allow that time frame to really build this foundation, to really start building the client book where you've had enough conversations, where you can build relationships, where they are starting to trust you and they are coming back to you. That stuff takes a bit of time to get that wheel moving, but once it moves, it starts to go under its own momentum. And that's essentially what Leo's doing right now. And you'll find, Leo, that there'll be a transition where you don't need to crank the wheel so hard every day, because you've done that work. It now starts to come back. That return on that time investment comes back to you,
And also, most investors are not investing only on the one piece of property. They'll keep on coming, they'll do like 4 to 5 investments. So imagine if you have 20 to 30 clients that they only come back to you, times that by 4. And, that's actually, and then you don't get comfortable. The point is, once you get into that point, you just keep on doing your work as well. I'm sure you do have less time because you have a lot of clients to take care of, but you still have to keep on going. You always have to bring new clients, because eventually you will lose clients, for whatever reason. But if you already get to a stage where you have 30, 40, 50 clients that are coming back to you 3 to 4 times, 6 times a year, 7 times a year, on average, that is 5 times a year, and keep on looking for more clients, I think at this point, the income is going to be very rewarding.
Yeah, I mean that's I mean that those numbers you're well over 200K a year easy. And that, as I say, and that's where you're getting into a different type of conversation, even if you decided to stay with Ion, because it's like you said, there's only so many hours in the day. You can only fulfill so many people at any one time, and at that point, you're literally funding your own deals and doing everything. So now we're looking at building teams here. We're looking at building infrastructure to support what Leo's doing, because I know Leo, when he's at a 200K, he's not going to be putting his feet up, smoking the big cigar, thinking he's made it. He wants to get to 400K and so on and so forth. And so there has to be infrastructure at that point. But that's another conversation for another day.
Mhm.
I wondered if we could touch a little bit on Gerald and the mindset piece, because again, if you're already in sales, you'll know this. We talk a lot about mindset, and I know sometimes people that have never been in this industry or into sales, it kind of, what the hell does that even mean? What is that all about? My mind's fine, but it's not that we are all needing therapy or anything here. It's more about how do we need to think? How do we need to approach these different situations that we get ourselves into and maintain an even keel? Because sales can be very much up and down. 1 minute you're on top of the world, but the problem with sales is you're only as good as the last sale you did, and then you're back to net zero. So how
Yeah.
do you make this consistency? And you've had a recent session actually with Gerald. Not to dig into the personal stuff, but could you just tell the folks kind of what that consists of and how you feel that helps you?
Yeah, so basically, when you are in sales, you can get very emotional. As I mentioned, sometimes you can have 10 clients, and each one gives you a high number. I'm looking for 5 million, $7 million, and you get excited. And that's why they teach you basically not to get overly excited, just because you can get excited once the person can get qualified, the person can get funded, and the person has a real project that he's putting together. A lot of time people talk. I don't know why. So the point is not to get very emotional. Sometimes you're having a bad day. I mean, you send out 200 emails, you send out 150 messages on LinkedIn, and nothing happened. But you have to realize whatever you put in today, will actually eventually, whether it's tomorrow, the day after, in 3 days, you will see basically the fruit out of your labor. Because not everybody responds to email right away. Not everybody has a need for loans right away. But whatever effort you put in today, even if you don't see in results the same day, you will see that eventually. Or also a lot of time is I usually have close to 15 calls, business calls schedule, since we can't have meetings anymore due to COVID. So I call that meetings over the phone with between 10 to 15 potential client on a weekly basis. And a lot of times you'll have one day where you will have 2 or 3 schedule and they cancel for whatever reason, or the third one you call them up and you saw that that person was not even a potential client, not even for down the line. And on top of that, from your emails, something went wrong and technical problem with your mass email software, and you 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock and you look at your watch and like, I've been sitting for 5 hours. What did I do? So the worst thing is to dwell on whatever happens for the past 5 hours. Like, I've been sitting on the front of my computer, everything went wrong. So you have two choices. Yeah, either keep on going and just forget what happened in the morning, or you just could get upset and start getting like, maybe it's not for me. Maybe I'm not doing anything right. Maybe maybe it's not for me. Maybe that industry is not for me. Maybe this. And if you start thinking this way, you're definitely not going to succeed. And so, what they teach you at ION a lot is basically how you should, you know, overcome, tough days. We're all going to have tough days. I've had, last week I had a tough day where nothing went right. And it was like on a Monday. So I'm thinking like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I've got 4 days left of the week. I messed up one day to the garbage because nothing went right. What do you do from there? You do well on the Monday, or you just put the Monday in the archives and just keep on going, for Tuesday, start from scratch. And thus I'm thinking I could have done, I should have done. Why is my software didn't work? My computer was, acting out. My internet was not working as well, and this was not working. And what do I do next? So what they teach you for a lot of, especially for people that are new in sales, is basically they teach you how to stay positive, because that's very important. And tough times are part of the journey. you know.
Well said. Well, and that's so true, because it's the tough times, isn't it, that really give us the lessons that we need to learn. Because if it was just good, and we actually said, well, how do you actually make your money? You would have no clue as to what it is you're really doing that's making you the money. It's the tough times that make you understand, okay, that's what I need to do now to get that result going forward. And that's really what the program is all about. It's we've all been there. We all go through the same journey pretty much. It might happen quicker for some and take a bit longer for everybody else, but the main factor I think that kind of like brings those that actually get there in the end is that they all stick it out and they're all consistent with it. And to Leo's point, there is if things aren't going your way, the only thing you really can control is what you do next, because you're only in the moment, right? And so that's where we're teaching people that the emotion that you feel, whilst natural, is just a waste of time. It doesn't achieve anything, and often it clouds judgment and makes us make the wrong decisions. And I mean, how many times, if you folk watching this, have you made decisions in an emotional situation that just turn out to be the wrong thing to do? You're just triggered and you go off and do it, you know. And that's what we're trying to get people to do. It's like, just slow down, you know. Shit happens. Let's take an understanding of where we're at right now, what's gone on, and make the right decision without emotion and keep moving forward. And that's really all you've got to do. If we simplify this whole thing, it's the consistency of the work, understanding the workflow for one, and that's what we're teaching, and consistently hitting that thing every single day. And eventually, you will get deal flow. It will be good quality. And eventually, you start funding. And not only just one deal and then that's it, it happens consistently. And there's a way you have to approach it to get that consistency. And that's why we're teaching the work and not chasing these shiny objects or deals or whatever it is everyone else says to do. It doesn't pay the bills. And if you want to do this stuff longer term as a proper business and profession, then you've got to learn the right way to do it. So I think, Leo, is there anything else you want to say to anybody that's kind of even maybe they're not even in loan brokering right now and they're thinking of the profession, like you're in it, you're doing it. What have you got to say to those folks?
I mean, personally, being in sales for 20 years and consulting, I like that industry much better. I like to talk to business owners. I like to know how they succeeded, how they were able to handle tough times as well, because especially now with COVID, a lot of retail stores and small businesses are suffering. And I like the idea that I can help them out because I was reading not long ago that in Connecticut, like 4 to 5 restaurants are closing down because of COVID. And a lot of times I tell people, even if we don't do business together, let's see what you're currently doing. I'm the expert of providing you money. That's the bottom line. And there's so many programs out there for an average person, a business owner, it would not be possible for him to learn. And I'm still learning on a daily basis. I've been with with ION for 3.5 months, and every single day there's new programs coming around. And a lot of times, because a business owner is not aware of what's out there, so you're desperate, you don't know what's going on, you listen too much to the news, and all of a sudden you see like the world is ending. Let me close shop. And a lot of time, if you take the time to talk to me, I'm like, you know what? We have a couple of programs that can help you where you can pay, very low monthly payment, for the first X amount of time, and then eventually, hopefully, for sure, business will get back to normal. We're not going to live like that forever, and then at this point, you'll start making income. Or if you want to pivot to change, restaurant, they have to invest a lot of money in updating their website, updating the way people order, because a lot of people are ordering on the website. People don't want to pick up the phone like the old fashioned. The people. So if you're not geared towards the new way of doing business, you're going to fall behind. But if you want to borrow $100,000, $200,000 to be able to make some update, but you have to look at it this way, because the update will actually bring you income. Old-fashioned restaurant, it's been around for many years and doesn't have a website and doesn't have a way how to place orders, or doesn't have a way to how to reserve a table on the internet. People would use the internet for everything. People go to Amazon to buy shoes, people go to Amazon to buy shirts, people go to Amazon for everything. So if you don't have that, you're definitely going to have, you might have to close down. But a lot of time you have to invest, and if you don't know how to invest because you went to a major bank which turned you down, because major bank are very hard to get people approved, especially these days, then we're here to help you out. And even if we don't have business, and I've had many business conversations with business owners, sharing with them what product that we have that might help them stay in business. and some of them will do business with me. Some of them, they decided that they're going to close down maybe, but they were very appreciative, and I think that conversation, they'll remember that forever. And I'm happy that I was able to help him out and educate uh, the consumer. So that's something which is very rewarding. I like that industry. I'm hoping that I can stay in that industry for many years to come and become an expert at it and grow with the thing, with the industry, and then make a lot of money. That's the goal at the end of the day. But as you mentioned, the first goal is that I'm going to come to start and to come with to do the training. Within 2 months, I want to be able to make a $30,000 commission check. It might happen. The likelihood to happen is basically 40%, 60%. You might get lucky, but luck does not work. You can't rely your life on luck.
You make your own luck, right? You make your own luck. And I think if you look at where you're at right now and the activity that's now going on, where we're at in the year, Q1 next year, I mean, for me, it's not at all inconceivable that by the time we hit March, you should be hitting like consistent months of like 20K, I'd say, given the activity, the conversation, everything that's going on, it's all building up to that. You can see it. And that's not to say, folks, that, Leo's going to be no funding going on and all of a sudden 20K's just come out of thin air from March. It starts to just build up. So one deal might fund, and then it goes, there's 2, 3, 4, and all of a sudden, bang, you're off. And you can't, it's funny because you get to a point where you're funding every month, you take that for granted, and you almost forget the days where it wasn't happening like that,
Right.
But and this is the thing, because there's not this immediate gratification. There's not this immediate return on the work you're doing. All the work that Leo is doing now is the work that's going to start paying him those 20K months in the early part of next year. That's the way you've got to look at it. It's not wasted effort. It's all an investment for a return at some point, and that's all you've just got to keep doing. So I think, Leo, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you sharing your story.
Always enjoy speaking to you, whether it's on YouTube or offline. So definitely enjoy having conversation. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. As I mentioned, I like the training you guys put together. I know it does work. So otherwise, I would not tell you that it does work. See results only within 3 months, and looking forward to having those big commission coming in. You mentioned numbers, 20,000, 25,000. And the goal is, even once that those check amounts will come in, just even then, not get too comfortable and say, what, I'll take 6 months off and go on vacation.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it if you want, but then it's doing yourself a disadvantage.
Absolutely agree. So, Leo, thank you
Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thank you, sir. And thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Yeah, same.